What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Uprise Postgame show. The Blazers get a 1-point win against the Toronto Raptors tonight in a game where the Blazers didn't look too good for three quarters. They turned it on there in the fourth, though. They came back from a 17-point deficit, if I recall correctly, was their biggest margin being down at one point in the first half. They come back, they fight back, they claw their way back, and they get a very nice win, considering they didn't play too well. They didn't really impress me. The fourth quarter, though, was one of their best quarters of the season. They really stepped up on both ends. They were led down the stretch by Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Carmelo Anthony. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Carmelo played huge in the fourth quarter. You know, all the Melo haters are probably going to have a field day saying, look what he did. But overall, just a very good, fun, close game. I expected a close game tonight. We got a close game, and we got a win, and that's what matters. So, welcome into the stream, everybody. Hope your guys' nights are going good. I'm stumbling over my words on this intro. I'm not really nailing it right now. But, yeah, hopefully you guys are having a good night. It's nice to get a Blazer win. It's nice to get a close clutch win. CJ McCollum hits the go-ahead shot with a little under 10 seconds to go. Pascal Siakam ends up missing his second game winner on the second night in a row, because he missed one against Golden State last night and he missed one against the Blazers tonight. Robert Covington got the final defensive stop for Portland. This is a game where you can probably take some good out of it and you can probably take some bad out of it. Overall, it's good that we got the win, but it definitely wasn't a clean game by any means. So, Eric, what are your takeaways? Like, do you have a, besides the win, because obviously we're feeling good about the win, but in terms of the way the team played tonight, are you feeling good? Are you feeling hesitant? Are you feeling in between? Are you feeling negative? What are you feeling right now?
I have every range of emotion from that game because I'm disgusted by the way we came out in this game. It's exactly what we talked about beforehand. We get complacent when we play a couple games, one or two games well, and then we feel like we can just show up and not do the little things to win games. And Toronto, despite their record, is a good enough team where you can't mess around like that. So I felt like this game was coached pretty horribly. It sucks that Nurk went down. But he wasn't playing well in his first stint either. And then I felt like we made a ton of wrong decisions throughout the game, but somehow they all worked out and ended with us in a victory. So I'll take it, and I'm happy that we won.
Yeah.
Because games like this, we would have lost last year. We probably would have gotten blown out. We might not have come back, and it would have cost us in the standings later on in the season when we're fighting for positioning, and we'd look back on a game like this where we didn't show up. So I'm glad we actually grinded out a win in one of these games instead of just packing up like we have done when we've gotten down big early in a couple other games this year.
Yeah, I'm just looking at things statistically, and it's kind of mind-boggling that we won this game. The Toronto Raptors end up hitting 19 threes on us, shooting 40% from three. Both are really good clips for them, both really bad defensive clips for us. We did not do a good job defending the three-point line. They shot 45% from the field in general. The thing is, we didn't send them to the line much. They only shot 12 free throws. They made all 12. We got to the line 25 times. We got 25 free throws, made 22 of them. So I think that's kind of the difference maker right there, is we did get to the free throw line quite a bit, despite the refs feeling like they were bad. I felt like there was a lot of plays that the refs miscalled in Toronto's favor. We still had double their free throw attempts, so I guess you can't complain with that whatsoever.
They weren't really going inside much except for rebounding when we had smaller lineups in there. But,
yeah.
So it's not like they were being super aggressive.
We shot extremely well inside the arc. I'm going to do the math here, but we shot 59% inside the arc, 33% outside the arc. So we did a good job when we got into the paint, when we got into the lane. We did a good job of finishing those shots. Also, had some mid-range makes. Most notably, CJ McCollum's game-winning bucket with 9.6 left on the clock. This was, I don't know, because this is a tough game to analyze, and that's probably why I'm like disjointed right now, because I'm just super disjointed, just trying to think back about what I want to say from this game, because you beat a team that Toronto is a good team. I don't care that they're 2-8. They've lost a ton of close games. They're still a good team. Siakam has struggled. They're just off to a really bad start. But overall, I still think this is a talented team. I still think they'll make the playoffs, and they're a well-coached team. And you look at a team that's 2-8, and you don't normally think those things. I think that 2-8 start is a bit of an aberration for the Toronto Raptors. A lot of close losses like this one, which could have went either way. You look at last night's game against the Warriors that they lost by 1 single point. So that's 2 losses, 2 nights in a row by 2 total points combined. So this is a good team. Being a good team like this, when we didn't play well, kind of feels good. Because, like, on one hand, it's man, if we just played like how we did in the fourth quarter, we blow out this Raptors team. But also, it's just frustrating that what we saw in the fourth quarter was completely different than what we saw in the first 3 quarters, and for the better. You know, we moved the ball a lot better. It did help having Dame hit a couple tough shots. You know, he hit a pretty much super contested 3 off a screen with 2 hands in his face from 2 separate defenders. He came off that screen and hit that shot, and I feel like that was kind of the momentum swinger right there. But still,
Melo also hit a bunch
Melo
of shots.
clutched up, and I'll touch on him. You know, I know there's probably people in here, Melo fans, that are just so ecstatic for me to say nice things about him. But overall, man, it's just this team is better when they move the ball, and this team has to play better defense. It's that simple. Toronto got wide open looks almost all game long. People were talking about, man, they're just shooting so well. Well, we were giving them wide open looks, you know? We were giving them wide open shots almost all game long. In the fourth quarter, we stopped giving up wide open threes. We made them drive into the paint, and then we helped well. We got our hands on some passes. We got some tip balls, some deflections, some steals going the other way, and it swung the game. And it's frustrating how inconsistent this team is defensively, but it's something that is going to likely continue on for future games. So definitely happy with the win, but there's a lot this team can look at today and improve on going forward. And honestly, it's a lot of the same problems that we've touched on in the past.
And I feel like, let me just say this real quick before I get to some donos. Like, we talked about not being results based. So, like, if a player makes or misses a shot, but it's a good play design or something like that, I'll give him credit for it being a good play. And I felt like tonight, like, we did everything wrong, but the results worked out for us. So, like, that's why it's kind of like I'm so like baffled by it, because like we did so many bad things in this game, but somehow we're able to find a way, and they all worked out. Like it was like we did so many things bad, it was like ended up being good or something. Like I don't know how that works, but I'm happy we won, and I'm trying not to be like not too much on the negative stuff, but like I just felt like we tried to like do everything possible to get down early in this game.
Well, here's the thing. We didn't have any wins last year where I was like, how in the world did we win that game? Right. We didn't have, I don't think we had a single win, because any like big time win over a decent team was like Dame going off for 45 and like, oh, thank goodness we didn't spoil Dame's 45-point game or something like that, and that's what we needed. But like tonight, there was no single game last year where I came out of the game thinking like, for the majority of the game, we played a really bad brand of basketball, and we beat what I think is a decent team. I didn't have that feeling last year. This is probably the first post-game show I've ever done, and I've done, over 100 at this point. This is probably the first post-game show that I've ever done where I've had this feeling where, wow, we did not play good, and somehow we beat what I think is a decent team. So, I'm going to have to try and figure out how I want to break this thing down as we go, because this is new territory. And you know what? That's the thing, is when you have talent on the team, when you have more talent, you'll win some of these games that you don't really know how you won it. You don't really know how you could play so bad and still be a decent team, but you still do. You know, we didn't have the talent to overcome some of the issues we displayed in this game last year. We didn't have that type of talent. So I think our talent helped us win this game. CJ McCollum being on fire helped us win this game. Carmelo Anthony stepped up. We don't win this game without him playing huge on both ends of the floor during the fourth quarter. He stepped up on both sides of the ball, and that was after he had a very bad first 3 quarters. It's funny because, like, honestly, how Carmelo played is like how the team played in general. Right. You know, Carmelo was horrible the first 3 quarters. The team was horrible. Carmelo was phenomenal. He was great in the fourth quarter, and so was the team. You know, obviously there's other things outside of Carmelo's play, but overall it's just this team is going to be inconsistent. I just hope that they do enough good things to be able to win games where they might not play the best, instead of just completely getting blown out like they have in some games so far this season. Let me thank the donos real quick.
Well, let me read this one because he's talking about you. So The first one is Michael, $5. It kind of goes to what you just said. Tori on previous stream. I wouldn't mind winning a close one. It'd be kind of fun to have a close game that we win. Was that close enough?
Yes, that was close enough. The Blazers got the win. I got the win in picks against the spread, which I had a terrible day in picks against the spread today.
All did. Don't worry about it. We all.
I need it. I was the only one who picked the Raptors. The Blazers were a 5-point favorite, so I picked the Raptors with the 5-point cushion. Blazers only won by 1, so I got the best of both. So I'm happy with that. And I gained a game, and there was some multiple people that doubled down on the Blazers. So I'm going to gain some ground from that. Shout out RIP Blazers, $5 donation. He says, Terry Stotts with small ball lineup adjustment, McCollum All-NBA. The small ball adjustment wasn't due to Terry Stotts. It was due to Nurkic getting hurt. I think he's fine. It's a quad contusion, so probably got kneed on his quad, and a contusion is a bruise, right? That's what I've always thought of it as.
Yeah, it's just like a knee to the... Your muscles and stuff will tighten up, but yeah, he'll be fine in a few days.
Yeah, so he should be fine, but it was kind of out of necessity. I would have liked to see Giles get more burn in the first half. In the second half, I thought he was a better matchup for a guy like Chris Boucher, who killed us tonight. But overall, that small ball lineup did work in the fourth quarter. Playing Melo with Covington, it worked on both ends of the floor at the 4-5. And that's why I mean about pairing Melo next to a good defender. It makes things easier on him, and the defense actually has a chance to be good compared to pairing him with Kanter.
And in the first half, this is what I don't understand. So Nurk goes down. It says he's questionable to return or whatever. So obviously he wasn't going to come back in this game. That's the time. We brought Kanter in after subbed out for a minute, and then he came back in. Melo played almost the entire first half after he came in a few minutes into the first quarter. It's that would have been the perfect time, about halfway through the second quarter, to get Giles some run. But instead, we put him in a close game in the fourth quarter, down 10, and are here, don't mess this up, And that's he has no flow, he has no rhythm for the game, nothing. Get him some minutes in the first half so he's comfortable, and then in the second half he can come in and do his thing. Because right now he's at a point where he hasn't gotten any legit minutes on this team this year, so he comes into the game just thinking oh, don't mess this up, and you can't just throw him into the fourth quarter of a close game and expect him to dominate or do anything. Give him some rhythm early in the game, especially since we weren't playing well. It's not like anyone deserved minutes in the second quarter, because no other than maybe Kanter was no one was really playing extremely well. And if Kanter needs a break, why not throw Giles in for a couple minutes just to get him some reps early in the game?
Yeah. I mean, I love Giles' game. It's and he comes in and he didn't necessarily play well, but when a guy barely gets an opportunity, you can't really expect him to play too well. That's why I want him to get more of a consistent opportunity so that he can get a level of comfort out there on the court in games that matter with this team. The problem is he rarely ever plays, so he's not going to find that comfort level with a new team. But yeah, overall, I mean, I did like that we switched up our defense a little bit for certain stretches of this game. It didn't necessarily work, but it wasn't because of the scheme. It was because our backside rotations behind, we started hedging Nurkic for a stretch there. It was our backside rotations weren't really there and weren't closing out all the way to the three-point line on three-point shooters. And, that's not a problem with the scheme. I like the scheme. We shut down things at the point of attack at the pick and roll. We just didn't do a good job rotating behind that. So that is something I want to see improve so that we can execute just better in general, because it's not like when we were running drop scheme on the pick and roll, it's not like our backside rotations were all that good either. They were just consistently bad. But overall, it did improve in the fourth quarter, and that's why we actually had a good defensive quarter. I'm kind of shocked at how, I'm not shocked though. That's the thing. It's just crazy how different our defense can be from one quarter to the next, and a lot of it is just kind of effort things and closing out hard and closing out correctly and those sorts of things. So
got to shore up the defensive rebounding too.
Yeah, I gotta thank the last two donations real quick before I forget. Westbrook $2 donation. Imagine playing Melo for the final possession on D. We'll talk about that. And then also we got Alex R with the $5 donation. He says, thanks for the great content over the last year, my dudes. Appreciate it, Alex. Thank you for the donation. So, I don't know. What do you want to touch on specifically? Because we're just winging it right now. We're just kind of talking off the top.
Let's just talk about the fourth quarter and what happened. I mean, like, I'm with you. I don't know where to begin on it. But congrats to Reese, by the way.
Why?
He made a 80-1 bet on Siakam getting a triple-double tonight.
What?
He made $800.
Did he get a triple-double?
Off of $10, yep.
Jeez. Okay, yeah, shout out Reese, man. Wow, okay.
I'm sorry, Reese's dad made the bet, right?
For Reese? Was the bet for Reese, or was Reese's dad the one?
No, Reese. His parents let him have a little fun on there.
Is that the first time you've bet Reese, or is that like a thing you do a lot? Because if that's the first time, that
he apparently has been doing this.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say if that's the first time, don't get hooked because you're not likely to get that to happen again. But $8 to win 800 on a Siakam triple double. Shoot, I would have taken that. Or 10, yeah, whatever. Still, I would have taken that given the way the Blazers defend, and given the fact that Siakam was starting at center and going up against like Nurkic and Kanter. So, yeah, that's actually a good bet. So, props to Reese, man. Congratulations. So, I'm expecting at least half of that in a donation here. No, I'm just kidding. Let's talk about what do you guys want us to talk about? We'll make this a democratic process right now. What aspect of the game should we talk about? Should we talk about the defense, something that's specific to the defense? Should we talk about the offense and how it was the first three quarters compared to the fourth? Like, I don't even know where necessarily to go with this, man. I mean, team contracts, that's a discussion for a different time. Block Boy, you need to stop, let me just say this right now. You need to stop caring so much about every single little word I say or don't say about Melo. I troll Melo fans because of how, sensitive Melo fans are to anything that's said or not said about him. Defense, the offense. Yeah, why did I think this was gonna help? We just get a bunch of different things. This is why did I think that was gonna help? I don't know. Eric, help. I don't know.
All right, let's just talk about, I guess, why we were struggling so much heading into the fourth quarter and what changed. Mm-hmm. So I feel like...
Talk about the Blazers. We're trying.
For the most part, the first three quarters, our offense was super stagnant. It was ISO one-on-one. Once Nurk went out, there was hardly any pick and roll. We were making a few shots, but it was all difficult shots. Like CJ has to hit a step back 3-pointer with a guy in his face or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's never I don't understand why we can't get our players open looks and try to design some sort of set to get CJ an open three or something where he's not having to take 5 dribbles and break someone down just to get a shot. I know he can do it, and obviously he's played phenomenal this year. He's been really good, and we had a great game tonight again. Mm-hmm. Especially his shooting percentages and stuff like that. But it's just imagine if he got some open looks on top of hitting all these difficult shots every once in a while, and then it's the same with Dame. If we played him off ball a little more, he might be able to get some cleaner shots. He made some ridiculous shots towards the end too, but he's been struggling with inconsistency shooting the ball this year, and I feel like we need to get him going in a different way maybe. And then Melo too. It doesn't have to be the post ups. It's we saw in the fourth quarter when he gets open threes, he's money. And I tweeted this out. Late game situation, I pretty much trust Melo over anyone else on the team shooting like a corner three alpha pass from CJ or Dame in that
Over
situation.
anyone. Oh, from CJ or Dame. So excluding those two, yeah, I'm down for that. I'd rather, I
Because
trust
like
CJ
Rocco
and
missed a
Dame
wide
more,
open
but
one, and I know it's not like you're not going to hit every one, but like Melo, that's like he's made for those kind of shots. So
well, he's the third guy I want in that situation taking those shots. I still rather have Dame or CJ, of course, shooting open catch and shoot threes, but yeah, Melo's definitely third on that list. I'm sure some people will think I'm just absolutely hating on him by saying that, but
yeah, so we had all the momentum. We get a rebound. I forgot if we had like tied it or we were down one or something, but like we had scored several plays in a row and like everything was going our way and Stotts calls a timeout.
I did not understand that timeout, man.
Out of the timeout, we run a post up for Melo. It's like why did you have to call a timeout to run it? Like it's fine. Like if Melo has the hot hand and we're gonna get him the ball, like I said, run a play for him or get him a three or whatever. I don't understand calling a timeout just to run a play where we like work the ball around and then wait for him to post up on the opposite side and get him the ball. And he made a great shot and it worked out. But like playing the percentages wise, like that hasn't been a high percentage shot. So like I don't understand calling a timeout to get that shot in that situation. But once again, if you just base it on the results of this game, same with so CJ hits the shot and we don't call a timeout in that situation, which I also think that's probably the right decision there to just play. But if he misses it, they get the rebound and the game's over probably. But
I mean, here's the thing: on that play, we call timeout and then what? ISO Dame or CJ. I'd rather have him like with a rhythm running down the court, dribbling into something. So
the defense isn't set. Like,
I agree with that.
Why give Toronto the opportunity to set their defense if we're going to do it? Maybe you come down and, like I said, it's going to seem silly because Melo made the shot anyway. But maybe you go down and like they're mismatched and he has a smaller guy on him and it's an easier shot or something. Like you don't know, and you can always call timeout like a few seconds into the shot clock if it's not working out and you need to run a set play. But we don't run set plays really either. So it's like stupid to like call a timeout to set up a play when we're not really going to set up anything. But the thing is, and then, so situationally, there's CJ scores, we're up one, there's 9.6 seconds left. Why is CJ, Dame, and Melo in the game? Even though like Melo had some great defensive plays in this game, which we'll get to in a second. But like, we have the personnel to throw out a defensive lineup now, which we haven't had to play. Like last year, we had to play like Dame and CJ because there was no backup guards. So we were going to put in Anthony Simons and Mario Hezonja or whatever to guard the last play. But in this situation, once again, it works out because Siakam misses the turnaround. But like, why don't we have our 5 best defenders on the court? Why do we have to have like our best offensive lineup playing defense with 9.6 seconds left? And Stotts gets bailed out once again because it works out and we win the game. But I just don't understand like putting that kind of defensive personnel in the game when it doesn't matter if they score, we have a timeout. So like it was either going to come down to the last shot or we were going to get the ball back and call timeout. So I don't understand.
Well, we should have Derrick Jones Jr. on the floor there. I mean, like, it could be over Dame, it could be over CJ, it could be over Melo, but Derrick Jones Jr. is a far better defender than all three, so I don't understand putting out a more, like, situational lineup for that. Like, Melo was playing good defense down the stretch, the best defense he's played all season, so I understand if you keep him in. Put Derrick Jones Jr. in for CJ there or something, and then you have more switchability out there, and you have a better help side guy and a guy who could maybe protect the rim if he's the guy rotating to it in help side. So, yeah, there is that's just kind of something that I don't understand. But, I mean, and Stotts defenders will be like, man, you guys are nitpicking. Explain it. Like, why would you have your worst defenders on a defensive possession? Why would you not have your best 5 defenders out there? Like, Robert Covington stepped up and got a stop, but I just don't understand. There's certain situational things that I don't understand, you know what I mean? And it just doesn't really make sense. Just because we got the stop doesn't make it make more sense, It just doesn't really make much sense on that. But
again, if you play the percentages, that it's less likely that we get a stop with that lineup compared to other defensive lineups. Like yes, it worked out. So in hindsight, you could say, oh, idiot, Stotts made the right move because we won. Like, you can't say shit about it. But, like, again, it's not the right coaching move, and you're not coaching and putting your players in the best position to win ball games if you continually make these kind of mistakes. And we've seen it. I mean, how many games did we talk about late game situational things last year and stuff like that, like the Philadelphia game where we don't switch picks and stuff like that. And I don't know if you saw this play from the game last night with the Toronto game, but there's video of Draymond Green like directing and telling everyone what the play is and like where they're going to go and where they should be and all this stuff before they even inbound the ball. And he was exactly right. And they get a stop on the last play. And Portland doesn't really have that on-court person, so they need their coach to be like that. So yeah, I don't know. It just drives me crazy that we don't always put the best situationally positions to win games.
Yeah, shout out Alan the Bum for the $5 donation. He says, from the @Giles Club account, good win today, boys. Appreciate the donation. He runs the Giles Fan Club account. So you guys can go leave him a follow if you want. That's what I'll give him a Twitter shout out in return for the donation. I appreciate it. So, but here's the thing. You can have two trains of thought. One is being displayed in the chat by a certain someone, and one is kind of what we're going for. If you play bad in a game that you win, and you just say, oh, I don't care about any of the mistakes we made, we won, so we're not going to focus on any of the mistakes we won, that's all that matters, bottom line. That's not a good mindset to have as a professional basketball organization. That's not a good mindset to have as an athlete. You know, if an athlete goes out there and plays terrible, but the team wins, then the athlete shouldn't be, oh, well, we won, so I don't got to focus on where maybe I could have done better and where I might be able to do better in the next game, right? It's a style of play thing. Like, we play this basketball against a better team, we lose. You know, if we play this way against the Jazz or you know, maybe even a team like the Pacers who we have coming up who might be a little bit better than Toronto right now, we lose. We were 5-foot Siakam shot away from losing this game to a team that, like, I think it's a decent team, but they were 2-7 going into this. So it's not, you know, a team that's playing great, so to say. So just looking at the result is not how you improve, right? We're in it for the long run, right? If this was, you know, a team that's like a fringe playoff team, yeah, you're focused on every single win. Like, okay, great, we win. Fringe playoff teams should still focus on where they can improve even in a win. You know, you don't base whether or not you try and get better off of the final result of a game, and that's it. That's just silly to me. But if we're a team like truly trying to contend or make a Western Conference Finals run, we can't just not look at how we can get better in games we win, right? So you're telling me, like, with the mindset that, oh, we just won and that's bottom line, we don't have to, you know, that's all that matters, then you're telling me only 4 games from this year that count you can learn from? That doesn't make sense. I'd rather learn from the whole entire thing, because there's a ton of mistakes the team made today that if they focus on them, they can hopefully improve, and it will lead to more wins. So if winning is the bottom line, you should be focusing on how you can improve no matter what the final result is. So
and the other thing, too, is these mistakes have cost us playoff series, playoff games, like games that could have mattered in seeding, or the difference between having to play in the play-in game last year and maybe not having to worry about like a last-second shot by Karis LeVert to even make the playoffs. So these mistakes continually happen, and until they don't happen, like, we're never going to take that next step. And I've been very firm on this stance lately. Stotts is a decent coach when it comes to being a nice little team and getting nice little wins like this one. But if this is a playoff series, we probably get blown out the next game because they'll break down film and completely take advantage of all the mistakes they made tonight as well. And we need to start working on those now so they're not a problem or come up as a problem in the playoffs. Because if we play the style of basketball, yes, we can pull out a win and come back and win playing ISO basketball. But it's not going to get us to a championship level in the playoffs when we do not move the ball well at all and have to rely on all these guys making really difficult shots the entire game, and our defense giving up open threes most of the game, and then everyone being like, oh, for some reason Toronto's just on fire in the first half, like, oh, they're just hitting tough shots and stuff like that. Like they hit like 10 threes in the first quarter, I think, or maybe not first quarter, like shortly into the second quarter and stuff like that. And like people are just saying like, oh, they're getting so lucky on threes, or they're hitting shots they normally don't make, or whatever. It's like you can't just keep saying that every game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, what matters to me is this team playing a consistent brand of basketball, like a good, consistent brand of basketball, right? And I said before this game, like, yeah, I want to win. Of course, everybody wants to win. We can help raise the chances for a win by playing a good brand of basketball, and in the long term, what's going to be best for this team winning a championship is being consistent in terms of the style of basketball they play. So when you have a game where they win by 1 point, and we're 1 5-foot shot away from losing, and didn't play good basketball for the first 3 quarters, didn't play a good brand of basketball, had a insanely tough shot selection, and gave up great shots to the other team, there's a lot to be learned from that. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? But it's like, I think things through like in a like how athletes should think things through, so to say. Like, I don't want the sugarcoating, like, oh, well, we won, nothing matters, it doesn't matter that we sucked for 3 quarters. Like, I don't look at things like that, right? I feel like athletes and coaches should be focusing on the issues that went wrong in a game, no matter if they win or not, no matter if they lose. And when I've been on, teams in the past, high school, college, if we won, it didn't mean that we didn't focus on things where we struggled. We focused on the things we struggled at, and we got better. And I was a part of like very high level teams at the level that I played at, a very, very good teams compared to the level I play at. Obviously it's not the NBA, but I feel like as an athlete, as a coach, as a team, no matter what level, you're going to maximize your chances for success if you focus on where you struggle, no matter win or loss. So, there's a lot of areas to learn from. But that's the thing. People look at like, oh, well, constructive criticism is a bad thing, man. Why are you guys being so negative? It's constructive criticism. This team did not play well. But focusing on that isn't a negative in itself. Focusing on that can be a positive if you learn from it. So that's just my mindset on things. There's a lot this team did wrong tonight, and there's a lot that this team did right in the fourth quarter, right? So there's your 2 separate Blazers teams. It's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde, right? You'll have a great Blazers team and you'll have a bad Blazers team. We need this great team more. And you can see the contrast within the same game. You look at the first 3 quarters compared to the team in the fourth quarter, it's like a completely different team. So we need more of that team we saw in the fourth quarter. We don't need more of that team that we saw in the first 3.
And here's the thing, just to piggyback on that. So if you're like an elite player or an elite coach, you would be sitting here saying worse things about your team than we're saying right now, right? You wouldn't be happy with winning this game. You would be like going through film thinking like, what did I do wrong the first 3 quarters? What can I take from the fourth quarter to maybe implement for the full games and stuff like that? And like, do you think like a guy like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan or whatever would be happy with this performance tonight, even though they won the game? No, they would be back in the gym, like trying to fix the things they messed up. And my problem is it feels like Stotts coaches, like some of these people like Portlandia, tell us we should be okay with. And that's like, oh, well, we won the game. How could you criticize me? Like, type of thing. And like, and that kind of attitude, I'm not saying it's 100% that way, but I feel like that's how he coaches the team. Instead of being like, we didn't do very good things. I'm glad we won this game. We got lucky, but we need to be better. I need to be better, all that kind of stuff. So this doesn't almost cost us a game. Instead of saying that, he'll get defensive if anyone asks him any questions to the subject of us not playing well tonight. And it's just kind of frustrating that it doesn't ever show as like changing ever. It's the same problems for 8 years.
It's not even really a coaching criticism for me tonight. Like, a big part
Right.
of our problem, like, Stotts did switch things up a little bit defensively. A big part of our problem was we weren't rotating out to the three-point line hard at all. We weren't closing out all the way. Like, some of our shot contests were terrible, right? So, and then
But to
you
me,
have
that's-
Nurkic get hurt, and, some of the rotations I had an issue with. I think some of the rotations were messed up, but, so there's things you can find in terms of negativity, but overall I thought our rotations got us crushed on the three-point line. Giving up 19 threes at 40% is never good. And then the other part of it is we were very stagnant offensively. And the thing is, like, you're going to see stretches where this team is stagnant offensively, even if Stotts is preaching ball movement.
Right.
But if Stotts is preaching ball movement and coaching it effectively, you'll see the ball movement improve throughout the season, right? So it's not like something where I'm going to take one game and just, one anecdotal game and say, oh, well, Stotts, blah, blah, blah. Like, we've seen in the past that this team plays stagnant offense all last year, 30th in the league in assists. For the past, few years, we've been in the bottom 5, so it's not like I'm confident that there will be a ton of improvement. So, long-term, it is a critique of mine for Stotts, but the past 2 games before this one, we saw solid ball movement, I thought. We saw a couple sets that I liked that we don't normally see. And then this game, the first 3 quarters, we don't move the ball. The fourth quarter, we move the ball and win. So it's, it's not even something where I'm singling out Stotts or anything for this specific game. This team needs to play more consistent basketball. Here's the thing, though. This team has an easy schedule coming up, right? So, they need to win games. They need to win these games. So you're happy with the win first, sure, 100%. And you hope that, even if they're still inconsistent, they can still pick up games. Basically, the thing is, okay, hopefully we can still win these games, even if we play inconsistent, just like we did tonight, but we can improve the consistency over this next month so that when our schedule tightens up in February, we're ready to beat some of these much tougher teams. That's basically the trajectory that we need to be on.
Here's the only thing I'll say to the rotations being bad. And yes, effort seemed to be a problem early in this game again, which is we got the mopey Nurk, we got the flat Dame. I don't know, it just seemed like we came out with no energy again, and that's just I don't understand how we could not. And then you hear Stotts oh, I'm not going to give a speech that doesn't help anything or whatever. Well, it's maybe it's time to tell people you need to start showing more effort at the beginning of these games, or we're going to have to change something up. But as far as the rotations go, it's been a problem consistently for several years. So it's frustrating to me that you maybe see a guy that's new in the system that maybe didn't learn it elsewhere, that also isn't learning it from Stotts. So it's if it wasn't continually a problem, I mean, rotations killed us in the Western Conference Finals. Rotations killed us last year. Rotations are killing us this year. It's just, I don't know if they're doing anything to help solve them. So I don't know how it's going to improve just by not doing anything, if that makes sense, because I don't feel like they're addressing it or doing anything to address it until they do switch the way they address those kind of breakdowns, or the way they close out, or the way they get through a screen. No matter what kind of defense they run, it's not really going to matter if there's always a breakdown on the back of it.
Yeah. And then John says energy going to be an issue for every team all year. Look at the NFL, no fans. They will, the energy levels will get better. I mean, you've seen that kind of play out where teams will randomly get blown out. I mean, the Suns were down 30 and lost by 20 to the Wizards tonight. So there is some wild variations. So it'll happen where defensively we're not rotating out with enough energy and we're not playing hard enough. And Stotts isn't in, control of necessarily how hard we play. He's in control of if he holds players accountable. I do like that it changed in the fourth quarter, and if it didn't change, we were not going to win this game. So I do like that it changed, and that our energy levels picked up drastically in the fourth quarter compared to the first 3. So defensively, I don't really have any qualms with him, because he did mix things up defensively. We've been seeing little flashes of it, and I hope that we continue to build upon that. that would be one of my criticisms that would go away, is if we were more adaptable defensively. The thing is, we just got to adjust to the situation better and be good situationally in what we run, not just run a bunch of stuff with no idea of what we should be running defensively. But I do like that we switched things up. The energy level wasn't there, and it improved. So this isn't even like a Stotts criticism type of segment. This is just, this team did not play well, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, we got the win. Good job, guys. It feels great. We got a win. We're 6-4. Let's go make the playoffs, and let's go, everybody's feeling good. Look at CJ in his press conference. He's smiling because his Browns won yesterday, and now the Blazers won today. And Dame's happy, too, because we got the win. Like, well, I ain't gonna say that. That's not what, this is never going to be that type of thing. We're just gonna talk about what we saw on the floor, and when what I see on the floor wasn't good basketball for the majority of the game, the first 3 quarters, then I'm going to analyze it accordingly and not just lie and sugarcoat and BS to you guys. So, I mean, I'm happy that this team is 6-4. I'm happy that we got this win. We got another game against Sacramento coming up. We could extend this winning streak to 4. Honestly, it should already be at 4. We should have never blown that Bulls game. It'd be a lot nicer to be 7-3 right now instead of 6-4. But I mean, you're starting to take care of business. This is 3 games in a row. It's nice that they put together a couple good, consistent games, the 2 prior to this one, and then it was nice that in a game where they struggled through 3 quarters, they played great in the 4th quarter and still won the game. So,
yeah, that's the frustrating part. Like, I was going to this game, like we talked about this before, not getting suckered into this again, right? And that's exactly what happened. They come out flat, not playing well at all, and you're just like, great, you get down 17, here we go again. And it's just so like, why can't we just use those momentum of 2 games and want to go on the winning streak and have that killer instinct right back, it doesn't make sense to me how they can't be motivating themselves to want to not play like this for the first few quarters. And then like, even within the game, the fluctuations between effort level and stuff like that, like when Terrence Davis hit those 2 threes from the corner, Melo was like got caught both times in no man's land and gave up wide open threes on back-to-back possessions. And then later on in the game, he makes like 2 of the best defensive plays of the season. One was like a block, and one was so he hard hedged and tried to trap. I can't remember if it was Lowry or Van Vliet, and that he had to pass it to Boucher, who hit a contested 3 towards the end there. And I heard some people like Reese saying that was on Melo for over helping, but he got the ball out of the guard's hand and made Boucher have to hit a shot with a defender on him. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, Melo helped, and then Gary Trent Jr. rotated out correctly and and made a great contest on that 3. So so that defensive possession is completely fine. I don't see anybody that did anything wrong that possession. You just got Chris Boucher hitting a very contested 3.
Like, if we see that, and then you can say, wow, they just made a shot, like, it was tough. But like I said a few minutes earlier, the same players give up like wide open 3s. It's not just Melo. I just used him as an example because he had the 2 nice plays at the end. But like, it's just like within the course of a game, you can't even get consistent player like out of any of these guys. And it seems like, one game we'll see Cantor and Nurk like hard hedge and recover on their man, and it's perfect, and then we won't see them do it again for like 3 or 4 quarters, and you're like, okay, so where was that action like when they were killing us and stuff like that? So yeah, it's just I feel like we're just kind of winging it on defense, and like, oh, let's just throw this out here, and we're not really like structurally changing anything. We're just like hoping something sticks against the wall. And I do understand that we haven't had a lot of practice time and stuff like that, but like, I don't know. We've talked about this before. I feel like that's such an excuse. Like, these guys are NBA players. You can teach them a scheme and they can run it. It's not going to take like years to figure it out, like how to play defense. They're pretty basic concepts in the NBA. It's not that hard, and it does take effort and not breaking down on the backside. I just wish they would focus on the breakdowns that are happening instead of just wondering why their defense is so bad and why teams always hit shots against them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I want to touch on this conversation I'm having in chat. So, like the Blazers are one of the most stagnant ISO heavy teams in the league, right? Last year, last in the league in assists. This year, I believe they're 29th going into this game, maybe 28th. I know they were bottom 5 though. But you have a bunch of non-arguments that try and excuse away Portland's stagnant offense a lot of the times, like the league is just moving towards isolation. Okay, then why were we last in assists last year and like bottom 3 this year? And then it's, oh, well, we're averaging 22.7 assists per game, and if we had 4 more per game, we would be 4th. Well, if we won the 4 games that we lost, we'd be 10-0, but it doesn't work like that. That's not reality. And then, oh, well, we have shooters. Of course, we're going to have more than one-on-one than other teams. I mean, you have isolation players on other teams too, and they still have more ball movement than we generally do. And it's not like this team isn't a better team when we move the ball. So that's the type of like just kind of non-arguments that get said to us that just don't make any sense, that aren't really based in reality. But 24th, that's an improvement. I still don't think we should be bottom 10. We should be able to move the ball better than this. We have a good passing center. The thing is, if we were better offensively when we just isolated, then okay, I get that. But the problem is, against good defenses and against teams in the playoffs, if you isolate, you struggle. If you can move the ball and move players, you're a lot harder to game plan for in a 7-game series, and you have a lot better chance for success. And we saw that play out in the playoffs last season. So, the whole narrative season that the NBA is moving towards isolation, well, the teams that are doing well in the playoffs are the teams that aren't moving towards isolation, that don't isolate. Milwaukee got far too isolation heavy compared to Miami, which has a lot of player movement. Miami beats them in 5 games, even though they're the 5 seed and Milwaukee's the 1 seed. You look at the way the Nuggets came back from that 3-1 deficit against the Clippers. They moved the ball. The Clippers isolated. The Nuggets won out there. So the league, you look at James Harden and his struggles through the past few years. And Eric brought this up, like Chris Paul. Basically, the issues between Chris Paul and James Harden came about because Chris Paul said they needed to isolate less because it wasn't going to work. And James Harden didn't like that. And Chris Paul was, James Harden didn't really have any playoff success until Chris Paul got there. And Chris Paul leaves, and then Houston's just another, also ran. And they're an isolation-heavy team. It's not going to work for them. And it's not going to work for us. So that's why ball movement is so crucial for us. Not only do we play better and shoot better, generally, and get better shots when we move the ball, it's going to be better for us in the playoffs. So it's something that matters. It's something to watch going forward. I do like that we've seen better ball movement this year than we did last year. I think the past 3 games, other than these, if you take out these first 3 quarters of this game, if you include the 4th quarter from this game and then the previous, the 8 quarters from the 2 games before this, I think through pretty much most or all of those quarters, we moved the ball pretty well. So I like that we're seeing more frequent flashes of ball movement, player movement, and that sort of thing. I just hope that it continues to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. And we only had 18 assists tonight. We were 25th going to this game, so that'll probably go down a little bit, and we'll be, because there was a bunch of teams grouped up from 25 to 29, so we'll probably fall below those teams.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll move the ball well and miss shots and won't get a lot of assists just because you're missing shots. But so it's not like a direct correlation to ball movement, but it's a pretty good indicator.
Just for the record, there are advanced stats on possible assisted plays, and we're always near the bottom or last in those statistics as well. And there's statistics for how many passes a team makes per game, how many passes they make per possession, how many dribbles they take per possession, all that kind of stuff. And all of those stats are heavily against us when it comes to ball movement. And we saw that tonight. I mean, we had to make a lot of tough shots, especially early on. We weren't getting clean looks really most of the game. And luckily, I think it was it CJ that passed out to Melo in the corner for that one? I think it was CJ, not Dame. But one of them, had a nice pass out to Melo, who hit that 3, and he came up big in the clutch. But yeah, I mean, it took us hitting a bunch of threes in the fourth quarter at the end just to win. But yeah.
Yep. Let's talk about individual players now. Let's start with that's from last game. I do that almost every time. At least I'm catching it a bit faster. Let's start with CJ McCollum. Last game he had 37 points. Tonight, another 30-point game. He finished with 30 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 10 for 19 from the field, 5 for 11 from the three-point line. Another efficient scoring night for CJ McCollum, where he also did a solid job of making plays for others. Another 5-assist game. He is playing like a definite all-star. Like not even, we've called him a fringe all-star level player in the past. Right now, he is a legitimate all-star. Like beyond fringe all-star. You're talking about a guy averaging 28 and 5 right now and doing it efficiently like he is. He's been absolutely phenomenal for this team, and he's been just worlds above where he was last year, where he was the previous few years before that. So I'm hoping he continues to look it up. Just there's a different feel to him this year. I don't know what it is specifically, and I don't know if I think there's a different feel just because he's making more shots, but there just seems like there's something different about him during this hot stretch that he's had during the regular season.
Well, I think he's mentioned it. It's the fact that he realized that he's a good enough three-point shooter to where he should be some of these tough shots he takes, instead of being a few feet inside the line, he should just be shooting the three instead. And when he's hitting them, no matter how hard they are, counting as 3 points versus 2 points really helps.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, he's not shooting any better inside the arc than he has the past couple seasons. In 2018, 2019, he shot 50.6%. Last year, he shot 49.4%. This year, he's shooting 50%. But the rate in which he's shooting threes compared to two is definitely a ton different. 2 years ago, he... let's just look at three-point rate. That is a stat that... Let me find it. His three-point rate for his career is 34.5. The previous 5 years, including this one, starting 5 years ago, this is his three-point rate, which is the percentage of field goals of his that are three-point attempts. It was 31%, 32%, 36%, 38%, and this year it's 52%. 52%. So that is a very high percentage. You look at his shot selection tonight, 11 of his 19 shots were threes. What's great about it is he, going into this game, was shooting 44% from three. I want to do the calculation just out of curiosity because this isn't updated for this game. I'm going to calculate it, but it's just the playmaking and the increased three-point volume and the increased three-point percentage, I think, are the biggest difference makers for him.
And I mean, he's not the greatest finisher at the rim, so like and he doesn't get to the free throw line very often normally. So I think that is the correct adjustment to shoot more threes when you're not good at getting to the free throw line and you're not good at finishing around the rim. So why not shoot more threes? And I mean, he's someone who shot over 40% from three in the past. So yeah, I don't understand why it's taken this long to like realize that. But if you're not going to improve your finishing like Dame did a few years into the league, like at least just focus on what your strengths are then.
Yeah,
Yep.
He is doing a little better job getting to the free throw line too as well. That helps. A
lot of people mentioned he's married now too.
Married. Let's look at his free throw rate, okay? His free throw rate was 20% 5 years ago. That's a career high. Then it was 16.6, 15.4, 13.6% last year. That's not good. And then 17.5%. So that's a bit up as well. You look at his turnover percentage, only 5%. He only has a 5% turnover percentage. That is a career best. The next closest season a couple years ago, he was 7.4 was his turnover percentage.
For his usage, that's 5% would be insane.
So,
that might be the best all time if it held up for a season. I doubt it would, but
he's done a great job taking care of the ball. The thing that's impressive about it is he's turning over the ball at a lower rate than he has his whole entire career, while also assisting at a higher rate. Because normally, the more you pass, the more assists you get, the more turnovers you rack up. That's why assist to turnover ratio is a heavily looked at stat. This year's assist percentage is 26.2. Last year it was 19.1. So you're talking about an assist to turnover ratio of greater than 5-1. Which is absolutely insane. Like he's been phenomenal this season, and he continued it tonight after this game. He's going to be a little bit north of 28 points per game and right at 5 assists per game while shooting 44.5% from the three-point line. Just phenomenal numbers.
And as defenses start to adjust to him shooting more threes, that'll open up the drives too. So like you hope that his efficiency from three will also help him later on in the season get to the basket and maybe draw fouls because you pump fake and they get him in the air. You saw him do that a couple times tonight. Almost got some Dame 3-point shots. They called it on the ground, but it just opens it up so much more. And then combine that with him at the 5 assists. He's also a threat to pass. So now instead of just knowing that he's going to pull up from 15 feet every time he dribbles the ball, defenses have to start to wonder if he's going to pass, if he's going to take a step back and shoot a three, or if he's going to drive to the hoop or whatever. And that can be nothing but positive things for him moving forward.
Yep. 100% agree. And he had that game winner with 9.6 left, a tough spin around mid-range fade. That is his second game winner with less than 10 seconds left so far this season. Out of 10 games, he has 2 of them. So he's been clutch this year as well.
A certain person wants us to mention that he was -7 tonight.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He leads the team in terms of on-off numbers, while Carmelo Anthony is actually last place out of anybody in the regular rotation. So, and the thing is, most of the time Melo is last place because he doesn't play well. Tonight he played well, but you don't want to start that argument, my guy. You obsessive Melo fan. Let's move on to Damian Lillard. We'll get to him.
I do want to realistically answer that. I mean, everyone who played in the second unit. In the second quarter, they all had bad on-off numbers because that was the only time really Hood got. I mean, he came in for a minute or two, I think, in the second half, but he was a -12 tonight. Trent got his percentage up, and Melo did as well because they all played at the end. But CJ had both the bad part of the first quarter and the bad part of the second quarter in the first half. But I'm never a fan of plus minus, especially off of one game.
So one game plus minus, tons of noise, too small of a sample size. If you're talking about entire season or even 10 games, you can read into that. So I mean, CJ has, I guess, Basketball Reference numbers are bunk, but Melo is still in last place. Just not quite as drastic, But I mean, Melo at halftime, the team was 15 points better without Melo on the floor. Now that evened up because Melo played good for a stretch in the second half. So obviously, I'm happy about that. The problem is, we'll get to Melo after we get to Dame. Let's talk about Dame second, and then Melo will be third. So Damian Lillard. 23.7 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 for 6 from the field, 3 for 6 from the three-point line. What do you guys feel? What is your guys' reaction to this game from Dame? Do you think he played a good game? Do you think he played a mediocre game? Do you think he played a bad game? What do you think of this game from Dame? Eric, what would you say?
I mean, you look at the numbers and they're good, but I think he had 8 turnovers, which is not good at all.
Forgot to put that.
He was very loose with the ball. He's done this a lot this year where he's getting kind of caught looking to pass off his drives and have nowhere to pass to. And I mean, just like with Melo post-ups or with CJ isolations, you can also make the argument that the other players around him aren't doing any favors by where they're cutting to or lack of cuts, stuff like that. He was obviously, at the beginning of this game, he had a couple turnovers because he was trying very hard to get the ball to Nurkic to get him going. But he can't make those bad passes. And he had a couple in the second half that led to fast breaks by Toronto and easy baskets. And those kind of plays need to get taken out. Like if you're going to have a turnover, make it be non-live ball turnovers where they can go down and score. Maybe like throw the ball out of bounds is better than throwing it to another guy streaking down the court for a lay-in or whatever. So he's just got to cut out the turnovers. Other than that, I thought he played a pretty decent game. I didn't like that they matched him up on Siakam a lot early in the game. But other than that, it was a solid game. I don't understand the people like trashing him, but he can definitely play better too.
Yep. Shooting wise, solid game, but yeah, he definitely was loose with the ball. I think this was a pretty meh game, and obviously Dame generally generally doesn't turn over the ball quite that much, but shooting wise it was fine, and he's kind of willing to play second fiddle to CJ when he's playing well, and CJ's played great, so you've kind of seen Dame kind of step off the gas a little bit, and that's nice to see. His efficiency has been fine, and his numbers are completely fine with me.
Yep, that lob he had to Giles was really bad. That's why I brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
That was terrible. I don't know what he was thinking on that one, but
if Giles was ready and had momentum, he might have been able to go get that. It was just so unexpected.
I don't know. It almost hit the top of the backboard.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't good. But let's move on and talk about everybody's favorite player, Carmelo Anthony. Wait, I gotta pull it up here. Here we go. Properties. Carmelo Anthony. Yeah, he had a great fourth quarter. He was awful the first three. That's basically the story of the game. He was 1 for 7 in the first half, but stepped up in the fourth quarter, came up big. They don't win this game without him stepping up in the fourth quarter. Maybe they wouldn't have been down as much if he didn't play bad in the first couple quarters. So that's kind of the thing with Melo. He had his game was a microcosm of the team tonight. Struggled through 3 and then stepped up and was amazing in the fourth. Great defensively in the fourth, had multiple big defensive plays. He jumped out on screens and kind of shut down some pick and rolls, and he hit some shots, right? But here's the thing. This is you just look at the stat line, that's a great game for Melo. That's a great game for Melo. 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 for 14 from the field, 4 for 9 from the three-point line. That's a great game by his standards. So, yeah, that fourth quarter really kind of salvaged this game for him. I'm going to continue to troll all the Melo fans that hang on every single word I say about him because it's absolutely ridiculous how sensitive a lot of them are, so I will continue to troll them. People got to relax. Melo fans just don't ever relax, I guess. I don't know. I couldn't imagine being that high-strung all the time. But, he had a good game, and he had a good fourth quarter. But you got Melo fans, they'll say, oh, he had a block and a steal, as if he played great defense in the first 3 quarters. They'll never admit any faults of his. So anyway, I don't know. He stepped up and played big in the fourth quarter. I don't know what more you want. You guys want me to say he played amazing basketball despite shooting 1 for 7 and having a turnover and not playing good defense in the first 3 quarters. I'm not going to lie and say that just to make you guys happy. I don't care. To make anybody happy necessarily in terms of just people that are always on my ass. So anyway, that's my little mini rant for all the Melo fans out there because they have been trying to come at me and I'm just brushing them off.
Chat wants you to do a 3 to the dome just for Melo tonight. Can we get a 3
Block
to the dome?
boy, if I give you a 3 to the dome, will you get off my ass? Because I will do it if you just, get off my ass. At least for the rest of the stream, man. All right? If you don't mention Melo for the rest of the stream, I'll do it. I'm going to try and leverage this, because... has Rogue Tory happened? Oh, yeah. So... The last time I wore this was in a win, so I wore it again tonight. And you guys thought this was a robe last game. Here, I have a bathrobe. If Blazers Uprise Live reaches 1,000 subscribers by the end of Friday, I will do a stream in a bathrobe. All right, Blazers Uprise Live, link in the description box below. I won't say if that is a stream on Blazers Uprise Live or a post-game show. It will probably be a stream on Blazers Uprise Live. But if it reaches 1,000 subs by the end of Friday, because we've been trying to get to 1,000, then I will do a stream in a bathrobe. Link is down in the description box below. I think right now we are currently at 921. So there's probably 79 people watching this right now that aren't subscribed, so they got to step up and make it happen if that's what y'all want for some weird-ass reason. But, yeah, overall, man... Overall, man, back to Carmelo. Did Block Boy agree? Did Block Boy agree to my deal, or no?
He said do it. I don't know if that was an agreement.
Nope, that's not an agreement, man. That's not an agreement. But
so I still don't understand why we're obviously guardians of his legacy, all that stuff. But that doesn't mean we have to put him in the worst possible positions through the first 3 quarters of the game.
Why are we playing him 16 minutes in a row at 36 years old?
I'm going to continue to harp on this because A, we see it tonight. His most efficient spot is the spot up corner 3-pointer. We've
Mm-hmm.
had offenses where we literally get the corner 3-point shooter, like a guy like Aminu or Harkless, a wide open 3 every time because the defense is focused so much on that. And if they're not going to be left open, that detracts the defense away to make it easier for Dame and CJ to score. So there is benefits, even if he's not shooting the ball from 3, to spot him up in the 3-point corner. And then when we do isolate him and post him up, I don't understand why the other 4 players run to the other side of the court and just stand there and don't do anything. No one cuts. No one gives him any kind of movement. Everyone is literally just standing around watching him. And I don't understand why or how that helps his legacy, or why he would care if he gets post touches or 3-point shots or whatever, as long as he's scoring and being efficient and stuff like that. You would think he'd want to be put in the best possible position to succeed. And then Olshay talked about this, like, we're probably going to only play him 20 minutes a game, so he's fresh for the end of the season, and we need him in the playoffs and in the clutch. And then we play him like 16 minutes in a row in the first half. It's like, it doesn't make sense. Play him in short spurts, and if you want to play him in the fourth quarter in the clutch to get baskets, that's totally fine. Like, put him in the last 4 or 5 minutes of a game and get those threes. And there's tons of ways you can use him to be effective. I just don't understand why we're forcing him to be the least effective amount possible for most of the game. And then, of course, he can make shots and get hot, and every once in a while he'll have a game where he hits 8 of 11 or something, and he'll have a good game even from the mid-range. But, like, I just don't understand why we're forcing him to do that. It makes no sense to me. Play him in short spurts. He's old. Make him fresh throughout the game, not just like over the course of the season. But and that was the problem last year too. I mean, we were playing him like 32 minutes a game or something. It's like, give the guy a break, man. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah, bro. Like, I agree with that type of stuff, man. But part of me can't wait for him to just be off the team, not because of him, but because of the Melo fans, man. The Melo fans are getting absolutely just out of pocket, man. You have, I say I want Melo out, and you have whatever this random site is, like, with that corny crap. Like, bro, Melo fans are the most sensitive player fan base I've ever seen. They're so sensitive, man. I'm just, like, I have Blockboy muted on Twitter, just because he ranted at me, the Melo at me in the past, just constantly, every tweet. Melo this, Melo that. I looked at it today, just a ton of Melo stuff. Y'all just gotta relax. Respect the fact that people don't view him the same way you do. Like, it's getting tiresome, man. Like, you can disagree with me, but the way you guys just constantly go on and on and on and on, it's just ridiculous. Like, you guys are Melo fans. I can respect that if you guys would just chill out. So, yeah. So that's why I just, like, any Melo fan that just constantly answer me about Melo, I just mute them because it's just ridiculous. Because I want to talk about basketball. I don't want to talk about it. This isn't Carmelo Uprise. This isn't Melo anything, right? But since you guys are so sensitive, I'm gonna troll you and get a reaction out of you guys. That's how Twitter works. That's how we talked about it earlier on Blazers Uprise Live, right? You have all these, like, Curry fans that slander Dame because it gets a reaction out of everybody, right? It gets a reaction, and it's just like to troll Blazer fans who slander Steph every time he has a bad game, right? That's just how it is. So I constantly, like, tonight, in just the past week, I've just constantly brought up Melo just to see them just freak out. And then it's almost like, haha, idiot, he played a great fourth quarter. And I'm like, wait, I like that he played a great fourth quarter. I wish that he played more like he did in the fourth quarter. So, I don't know. This dynamic is just, I just need to, like, let it go and not, like, troll these guys. But it's just been off. It's just been off, as the kids would say, off the chain with the Melo stuff lately. So
kids say that nowadays.
I mean, here and there, you know, that sounds like a Beavis saying. That sounds like a Beavis saying for sure. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on from Carmelo and bring some harmony to this stream.
Sure, Tori just wants to change the subject. No,
what? Oh yeah, he's just, man.
You were so mad when he.
Yeah, man, shut me up, man. I wish we lost and Melo played like crap. You got me. Somebody asked Prime Dame or Prime Melo. Definitely Prime Dame. Oh, don't get me started. Anyway, let's just move on. We got Enes Kanter next.
Well, Kyle's right. You've been hanging out with Beavis too much on group chat and stuff.
Yeah, that is definitely a Beavis thing. Shout out Beavis, man, if you're still watching. Beavis was in here earlier. But Enes Kanter, 14.6 rebounds, 7 for 8 from the field. Played another great offensive game. I want to check how many offensive rebounds he has. That's always one of the first stats I look. I could put offensive rebounds in the graphic. I probably should, to be honest, at least when it comes to Kanter. Tonight, he had 3 offensive rebounds. Bro, I don't understand. This is something that I've been thinking about, haven't really talked about. I don't understand how he gets so many offensive rebounds. Like, because he's not, like, athletic. It's not like he's, like, that much stronger than people and, like, bowling people out of the way. It's just, like, somehow he just finds the ball, man. Yeah. It's crazy to me.
I can't jump.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have, like, no athleticism. And I can still get a lot of offensive rebounds. It's all about knowing, like, angles and where the ball's going to be. You can see him. So when Melo's posted up, he doesn't move, but he does get in position under the basket to where he's between his guy and the basket. So when the shot goes up, he can just be between them, and all he has to do is turn around and body him. Tori's distracted by a chat argument.
No, I'm listening. I'm listening to you, but go on.
Yeah. They actually found him underneath for a few nice passes today. But yeah, he's when you hang out around the basket and you're seeking, it's just an effort thing, like and an IQ thing. I mean, pretty much anyone could be a good offensive rebounder if they just tried to be. I mean, you've seen games. There was a game in Phoenix a couple years ago where Dame, I forgot how many points he had, like 50 points or something, and he had several like huge offensive rebounds, including like a putback dunk on a rebound and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But like you hardly ever see him like around the basket. But like when he is around the basket, he does sometimes get an offensive rebound or a tip or something. It's just about like wanting it and going and getting them and stuff like that. And that's why like Luka and Westbrook average so many rebounds, is because they're always like, whenever a shot goes up, they're not necessarily in the best position to get an outlet pass. They're going for the rebound or whatever, and stuff like that isn't necessarily the most beneficial for your team. But when it comes to offensive rebounds, a guy like Kanter is so valuable to clean up all the crap.
So you would say it's not all about the size of your jump; it's how you use your jump.
Yeah, it's not even about jumping. I mean, he gets rebounds sometimes without even jumping for the ball. So like, yeah, it's just like understanding like if someone shoots a corner three. Yeah.
Shout out Austin Wack, man. That's funny.
If someone's shooting a corner three, it's most likely not going to like come off in the middle of the key. It's either going to go long or short. So it's just like a matter of being in the right spots. So you're always there. And a little bit of it's luck sometimes. So it's got to bounce the right way. But yeah.
I'm not going to continue to take this off the rails. That was Austin Wack. Austin Wack came up with that. But some of the stuff Eric just said, I could run with it even more. But we're not going to go that direction.
Should I move to the garage?
Too many viewers to go in that direction. You know, maybe if we were at like 40, you know, we could. But too many viewers right now. So let's move on and let's touch on. I don't even know what we got next yet. We got Gary Trent Jr. Nobody else really wowed you like Gary Trent Jr. 2 for 7 from the field, 1 for 5 from the 3-point line, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. He's had a stretch of games where he hasn't really done too well, but it's like we can't. It's almost like we can't manufacture good shots for him. So and he's not like a CJ where he's going to go manufacture his own shot. So if the offense isn't producing good looks for him, then I expect him to not necessarily shoot as well as we know he can.
I was disappointed he missed that. He got his guy in the air towards the end of the game. I thought that was going to cost us the game when he missed that three. But if that would have went down, I felt like that would have gotten him going maybe. And then all of a sudden he's 2 for 5 instead of 1 for 5 from 3, and it looks a lot better. Yeah, I mean, I've said this all year. I said it about in previous years. We do not do a good job of getting shooters like that who are pure shooters and can knock down shots. we don't put them in the best position to get clean looks. And even if they hit a shot or a couple shots, we don't like design anything to get them another clean look later in the game or anything like that. It's just more, it's basically just comes down to if their guy leaves to help off on Dame or not. And if they do, then sometimes they can get a good look. And if they don't, then they struggle to get good shots the whole game, which as more and more people around the league start to game plan for Trent, they're leaving him open less and less. And even some of the shots he hits are getting a little tougher. So he's just going to have to hit shots with guys in his face, I guess, because we're not going to like having him come off screens and getting him open looks or anything. And yeah, it's like, I don't know. I watched like Reggie Miller growing up, or like JJ Redick recently. Guys who are lights out shooter like that go off like hundreds of screens a game, and like they do everything to try and get them open. And the defense has to focus so much about how they're getting around these off-ball screens that leaves other players open, or you can do stuff out of that to get easier shots for other people. And it's back to we don't. Same thing I said with CJ, same thing I said with Melo, same thing I said now with Gary Trent. Like all these guys, I feel like we're not getting them the best possible looks because our offense is so stagnant.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, so I would like to see him play with the same energy defensively he did in the bubble. It seems like that might have dropped off a little bit, but overall, yeah, I would like to get him better shot opportunities by moving the ball more. And because he's the type of, I feel like a lot of players are this way, but just the type of guy where he gets going off of like an open catch and shoot, and then he'll hit a contested one, and that'll avalanche into a hot shooting night compared to him having to force contested looks and being cold off the bat and never like building a rhythm. And I feel like Carmelo is kind of the same way, but just the difference between starting off with turnaround fadeaways and catch and shoot 3-point shots, especially from the corner, because Carmelo's been really good from the corner in a Blazer uniform. He was like 56% last year, and he's 50% this year, I think. Like some insane numbers like that, which is why it's frustrating when he, settles for turnaround fadeaways off the side of the backboard. But yeah, so Gary Trent Jr. would like to get him better overall shots. I agree with that.
And someone in the chat said, well, he'll only get you a good game every once in a while. Well, he's shooting almost 46% from three going into tonight. So, I mean, he's a consistent, good three-point shooter.
Yeah, I don't understand that. He consistently plays good defense and knocks down threes. So, maybe they define good game as more than 25 points, I guess. But by that standard, only two players have had good games this season, So I think he's been solidly consistent. I would just like to get him. I don't know. I feel like he has a lot more 20-point games in him if we can get him rolling, and we're just kind of struggling to get him rolling. He's still knocking down shots at a high clip, but he's not. I don't know. I feel like we could get him going a little bit better if we got him more open looks. And I feel like we could get him more open looks. We're just not accomplishing that. So that's my opinion on him. Next player we got is Robert Covington. Rocco had 7 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 for 9 from the field, 1 for 8 from 3. And I had Melo haters screaming for me to criticize Rocco. So here we go. He didn't shoot the ball well tonight. But plays good defense, really good defense. Game-winning stop against Pascal Siakam. Played great defense on that final possession, making what was a pretty close shot very tough for Siakam. He doesn't seem to have enough confidence in his shot. He is moving the ball well. He is making the extra pass, but sometimes he's passing up an open three for himself to get an open three for somebody like Derrick Jones Jr., and I'd rather have Rocco shooting that shot. He was shooting, I think, a little under 35% going into tonight. That's obviously going to take a hit. I think he's a little better shooter than he's shown. He's just he's just been a bit inconsistent, and it seems like his confidence isn't like fully there. Once he'll hit a hot stretch and he'll be on fire and will be really hard to beat because of it, and he'll have some 20-point games in my opinion. I'm just waiting on kind of that outburst to happen. But overall, defensively, he can be a cog. He's our best defender, obviously, and then he can be a cog in an offense that moves the ball, and that's what we need. We need to move the ball more. So overall, he'll have bad shooting nights, but he's taking the right shots and he's playing the right brand of basketball. Sometimes you have nights where shots just don't go in, and honestly, it's not something where he's taking shots that he shouldn't be taking necessarily, or forcing tough looks.
This happened a few times with Dame tonight too, but it's happening almost every time Covington shoots the three. It I feel like he's kind of bobbling or losing the ball when he's going up, and it's not like a completely smooth transition from catching the pass to a shooting pocket, and it's kind of just throwing him off a little bit. But he's definitely shooting terribly right now, and that's another person who missed the three that if Melo hadn't hit a bunch of shots might have cost us the game. Because he was wide open, missed it, and he needs to be able to hit those down. But in the first half, I didn't think he played well defensively at all on Siakam. Siakam got going really early in this game, backed him down a bunch of times. Why we didn't decide to throw a double team or mix it up, or that's another story. But he had some great steals in this game to kind of make up for that. Some good deflections, and yeah, I mean,
you need better help side. Yeah. You need better help side defense against a guy like Siakam, because you can play good defense and Siakam's talented enough to still like exploit that and get downhill. You know what I mean? It didn't help that he picked up 2 fouls early, so I felt like he was defending more cautiously than he normally would because he didn't want to pick up that third, and that led to Siakam kind of getting downhill at him, and that the help wasn't there. The help should have been better in a lot of those situations, but. You got Blog Boy saying y'all ignored the 2 back-to-back plays where he gave Siakam, where he wasn't paying attention and gave the backdoor dunk to Siakam. I'm pretty sure one of those plays was Melo's fault, but if you want to blame Rocco for that, that's fine. Generally, he doesn't make those mistakes, and a lot of it could be miscommunication that isn't necessarily his fault, or just 2 players not being on the same page.
One of those, he absolutely just fell asleep, and Siakam went backdoor. He didn't see him, and he got the dunk. I don't remember who was guarding him the other play. Could have been someone else.
But here's the thing. When a guy like routinely gives maximum effort on the defensive end and routinely makes the right play, if he has a mistake here and there, I'm not going to harp on it because it's not something that consistently happens. Whereas if a guy consistently makes the same defensive mistakes over and over and over again, or consistently falls asleep, or consistently overhelps and is just out of position, or consistently doesn't make the right rotation, then that's something that I'm going to criticize, and it's something that needs to be corrected. Whereas, just like a random mental lapse here and there from a guy that's consistently great on the defensive end is not something you should really be overly critical about, in my opinion. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, next guy we got is, let me see here. Where's the 7th banner? We're missing the 7th banner.
Clayton Cook, your messages are being all weird. I would suggest not posting a bunch of $signs or whatever you're trying to do.
So I'm missing a guy. I don't know why, but the 7th banner is gone. So who is that supposed to be? Oh, Nurkic. I didn't create a Nurkic banner. I forgot to. But he didn't really play much tonight anyway. So
he was pretty bad.
I mean, let's talk about Nurkic for a little bit. I don't have a banner for him, but he played 9 minutes, was 1 for 5. But I mean, one of those was a missed dunk, and you know what? Like, he missed the dunk, but what if we said we wanted out of him? Yeah. We want him to take it strong. So he took it strong and missed the dunk. I'd rather him do that instead of miss up flip shots, Like, most of the time he's going to convert the dunk. We've missed a lot of dunks this year, but I like that he took it strong. You know what I mean? And he missed a couple shots and wasn't really there defensively, but you're talking about a 9-minute stretch. He might, if he didn't get hurt, he might have been fine. In who knows what point in the game he got hurt, so maybe he was dealing with that, and maybe he was limited in terms of his mobility. You know what I mean? So overall, I think the 2 games before this, he was good, and he was making some progress. Now he has a quad contusion and played 9 minutes where he wasn't good. Like, I'm not going to, be too hard on him for that. I like the improvement that he was making the previous 2 games, and I hope he can continue that and doesn't have to miss any time with this.
Yep. I wouldn't expect him to be out. I mean, we saw, Trent with the calf thing and Hood with the quad thing. So hopefully it's just one of those. Or we do have a back-to-back coming up, but I'm guessing they were just being cautious with him. Hope that's the case. He should be fine. It's one of those things, too, where you've probably taken this in your day, too, where you get knee to the thigh. It hurts. I actually, at one point in my life, got kneed like in the same spot within a couple weeks of each other, and my whole leg locked up, and I was just laying in bed at night, and all of a sudden it was super, like it felt like a rock, and like I had to go to the hospital, and they had to inject into it some inflammatory stuff, and uh, they said if it didn't work, they might have to like remove part of my hamstring, um, just to like get it to calm down or whatever. But thankfully, it did go down. It was fine. But but yeah, it's one of those things where it could be just a in a few hours he'll be fine, or it could be something that it hit
Where he
just
has to
the
lose
right
a
spot.
hamstring? Damn.
Oh, no, I doubt that'll be the case. But like, it could be the thing where like it hits just the right spot to where it's like, oh man, it's like a nagging thing, and I hope it's not that. But
Yeah. So
Yep.
anyway, moving on. 8th out of 9th player we got. I didn't. Okay, there we go. We got Derrick Jones Jr. 4 points, 3 rebounds, 1 for 3 from the field. He didn't play a whole lot tonight and didn't make much of an impact. There's really nothing to take away from this game.
Barely cut in the time he was in.
Yeah, here's the thing: like when he's in an offense that's stagnant, he's not going to make an impact. If he's being used as a cutter and a mover, and the ball is moving and he's moving off ball, then he's going to have a far better offensive impact. I mean, 2 of his 3 shots were threes. You don't want that from him. You want him shooting shots on the interior. He had a nice finish through contact against Kyle Lowry. He also got to the line and made 2 free throws. So, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily he was bad tonight. He did have 3 rebounds, an assist, a steal, a block in those 19 minutes he played. So, it's just a ho-hum game from him. Would like to, I say this almost every game. I would like to see him used more as a cutter.
Yeah, absolutely. Good things happen when he cuts. So it's just a shame, and it kind of hurt him not having Nurkic out there. I guess Kanter's not as good of a passer at this situation, so that might have played a little bit to do with it. But it's still I don't understand. Yeah, Trent. They had that fast break, and Trent saw him the whole way, and I knew he was going to try to lob it, but he got it deflected out of bounds because he kind of telegraphed it a little bit. But yeah, it's
Bro, you know what I don't understand on those possessions? Like, he slowed up to try and throw the lob. Just go full speed, make the guy cut you off, then just behind the back bounce pass to a trailing Derrick Jones.
Yep.
Just get far enough ahead of him so that he's trailing instead of slowing down so you're side by side and then trying to throw it over where the defender is in position to dip it. I don't understand that. The lob's cool and stuff, but just sprint into the layup, make him take away the layup, and then you're far enough ahead where you can just bounce it backwards and you have the clear passing angle. That I love that. Personally, I love that behind the back pass. I love behind the back passes. I throw a ton of them when I play, man. When we get runs going, you guys will see that's my go-to. That's my thing.
Yeah, and all you have to do is give him the pass on the run when he gets near the hoop, and you don't have to lob it. It doesn't have to be some alley-oop fancy thing. And then also the Dame and Giles one too, it's the same thing. If Dame throws it behind the back or a bounce pass to him, he got an easy 2 instead of trying to throw it up top to him. And we're not good for the most part at throwing those lobs.
Yeah.
So a guy like Derrick Jones Jr. can catch a lot of them even if they're bad passes, but yeah, it's I knew he was going to try it. I was glad he saw him, then it was going to actually pass the ball. But yeah, it wasn't the best execution on that.
Yeah. I mean, we kept the possession. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if we scored later that possession anyway. But what's funny is the possession that Dame missed, or the possession that Nurkic missed the dunk. We got 3 out of it, so it was actually a good play by Nurkic to miss that dunk. And that's the difference, bro. That is the difference in this game. So Nurkic missing that dunk helped us win this game tonight. So shout out to Nurkic, man. The last guy we got is Rodney Hood, who has 2 points, 1 assist, 1 for 2 from the field, which was a very easy layup. I think off a drop-off pass from Dame, I believe it was. And yeah, man, he just doesn't. I mean, it's recovery. It's going to take a while, and I hope that we are able to get him back to kind of how he was last year at some point this season. There's a chance that doesn't happen. There's a chance that he's never the same. But Rodney Hood is not good right now. I think here's the issue, right? Rodney Hood, if he plays like how he did last year, would be great for this team. That would be a phenomenal guy to have off the bench. But he's not that guy right now. Right now, Nasir Little would probably be better for this team, in my opinion. Playing Nasir Little at the 3 over Rodney Hood right now would be better defensively, and I don't know. Like, I might trust Nasir Little's shot more than Rodney Hood's right now because he's struggling from 3. But the thing is, you're never going to get Rodney Hood back to where he could potentially be unless you play him. So it's kind of like sacrificing a little bit now in order to try to get him to a point where he's like really helping the team once the playoffs roll around. And I think that's the right decision. He's only been playing about 14 to 16 minutes per game. He had that quad issue that made him miss a couple games. And before that quad issue, he was starting to build some solid games. And now he's kind of struggling since that injury and coming back from it. So, it's just definitely something that we just got to be patient with. It sucks, but it's just something that the team and everybody in the fan base has to be patient with.
Yeah, and this is why I was a little disappointed when he opted out and we re-signed him to a lot more money, because like that's the difference between right now being able to use like the biannual exception and maybe adding another piece or something like that, and not being able to add anyone to the roster if we have another injury or something like that, versus, just letting him struggle out on the floor. But yeah, I said this last game is I'm not going to kill him. He needs reps. He needs to be worked back in. And like if we're talking in a few months that he's not improving on these nights at all, there might be a conversation to be had to where that was the wrong decision to bring him back. It might have been better to just let him move on if it was going to cost $10 million. But I don't feel like I get the sense from him that he's not like trying or he's not on the court like giving it his all or anything like that. He is just fairly limited right now in what he can do until he gets healthier.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a catch-22. You either like don't play him and he probably doesn't return back, and maybe you might be a little better now with Little. Obviously, that's a arguable debate, but I think the team would probably be a little bit better right now. But then you like Rodney Hood last year is better than Little now, so you miss out on the chance of getting him kind of back to what he was last year, which is a better option this season than Little. So it's a little bit of a short-term sacrifice for hopefully a long-term gain on this one. So that wraps up the individual players from tonight's game. Normally we sign off, but we actually got done a little bit early tonight. So I don't know if like chat wants to ask us questions or you want to talk about anything, like if we missed something, or we could go around the NBA. We actually haven't done that if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's go around the NBA. There was
we can go over all our crappy picks.
Yeah, there were 6 other games other than the Blazers, 7 games total. The 8th game between the Pelicans and Mavericks got postponed. So starting off, the Hornets beat the Knicks by a score of 109-88. You had 34 points from Gordon Hayward for the Hornets. Other than that, you had LaMelo Ball with a very interesting stat line. He had 8 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block. He was 3 for 13 from the field, 2 for 6 from the three-point line. That's kind of the shooting numbers that I expected more out of LaMelo Ball this year. He's been shooting better than that, though. But they still get the win. The Hornets get 13 from Miles Bridges, shoot 40% from the three-point line. The Knicks had 19 off the bench for Kevin Knox, who has just been garbage so far in his NBA career, but he had a nice game tonight for them in a losing effort. You've had Julius Randle playing really, really well for them. After tonight's game, he's still averaging 22 points per game, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists, while shooting 35% from 3 and 49% from the field. He's been playing extremely well, but he was only 2 for 9 tonight from the field, only had 11 points for them. But it's been interesting to kind of see how he's played this year. You got so how many? So do you have like the picks against the spread? So who won that game? Because I picked Knicks, which sucked.
Everyone had the Knicks except for Reese and Westbrook.
So shout out Reese and Westbrook for picking that one right. We picked these games. We do a picks against the spread segment with chat and our mods, where our chat, the first 15 votes in chat is who chat rolls with. And me and Eric pick, and And then all our mods pick. So our mods are a part of that: Reese, Trevin, and Westbrick. That is over on Blazers Uprise Live. So go subscribe to that. We've only had we've only gained 2 subscribers, so people really don't want to see me in the bathrobe. And honestly, I'm perfectly cool with that because I think that's kind of weird. So we're only sitting at 923 right now. So but yeah, if you guys want to go subscribe, greatly appreciate it. Been trying to grind the way to 1,000 over there. Next game we got Grizzlies beat the Cavaliers by a score of 101-91. They were led by 21 points from Dylan Brooks, who only shot 6 for 15 from the field, but led them in scoring. The Cavs were led by Andre Drummond, who had 19, 14, and 3. Didn't a lot of us go Cavs? Who went Grizzlies in that one?
Only Westbrook.
So Westbrook, did he do good today? Because he was 0-6 last time we picked. So
I think he was the best out of all of us at 3-5.
Yeah, it was a rough day tonight. I feel better about myself because I was looking at it like, oh boy, I struggled tonight. But good for Westbrook to have to outperform everybody on a night where everybody struggled. The Bucks beat the Magic 121-99. They were led with 22 points from Giannis after he missed their previous game. Chris Middleton had 20 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Bobby Portis had 20 off the bench. Bryn Forbes poured in 14 off the bench. The Magic were led by Nikola Vucevic, who's played phenomenal basketball so far this year. He had 28 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists. They also had 21 from our favorite player, Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon also poured in 8 assists, so we definitely should have traded CJ for him, right? Yeah, the Magic lose this game. They get blown out. The spread on this was 10 points. I took the under. I took the points with the Magic. That didn't work out well for me. Who got this game right? Everybody except for me, huh?
Everyone but you,
yeah.
For chat, Trevin, and myself, this is the only game we.
Yikes!
Yikes! Oh, that's bad.
Well, just look at this score, okay? The Wizards blow out the Suns, who were 7-3 and tied in first place in the Western Conference before today's game. The Wizards beat them 128-107. Their largest lead, I want to check this. The Wizards' largest lead was 32 points this game. They were up 32 in the middle part of the second quarter, which was our stream was still going on. So we all picked Suns. I doubled down on the Suns in this game. They were a 5.5-point favorite. And then at the end of the stream, the Wizards are up 30. But I think everybody picked Suns in this one, correct? So it wasn't really... We all botched this one. Devin Booker led the Suns in a losing effort with 33 points. Chris Paul had 14 points, 11 assists, but he's kind of declined a bit this year. DeAndre Ayton only had 8 points in 25 minutes, 4 for 10 from the field. Bradley Beal had 34 for the Wizards. He leads the NBA in scoring. Raul Neto started in place of Russell Westbrook and did a better job than Russell Westbrook normally does, at least in terms of shooting from the field, so to say. He was 7 for 13, 2 for 6 from the three-point line, had 16 points. So it's kind of funny. Whenever Westbrook is out, the Wizards win. Whenever Westbrook plays, the Wizards lose. I don't know the exact stats for that, but it'd be interesting to see because it seems like there is a interesting correlation there so far this season. Davis Bertans had 18 off the bench in 24 minutes for the Wizards to help them get this win.
Yep. Good win for the Wizards, I guess. Bad loss for the Suns.
Yeah, bad win for the Suns. Good loss.
I'll take it. I want the Suns to have as many bad losses as possible.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Let's we'll look at the standings after this. 2 more games to get to. You have the Hawks blowing out the 76ers, who had Joel Embiid back this game, but they've been dealing with a bunch of issues from health and safety protocols and all that. The NBA is kind of struggling with that. It is interesting to see kind of how some of their unheralded players did in the loss. We'll get to them in a second. The Hawks in this 112-94 win, were led by Trae Young with 26 points, 8 assists. They had 15 off the bench from Brandon Goodwin. They also had 15 from DeAndre Hunter. The 76ers had 24 and 11 from Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey had 15 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists with 7 for 14 from the field. He looks like a steal. They took him with the 21st overall pick. He was borderline top 10 on my big board, and he was coming off a game where he dropped 39 points against the Nuggets. He's been a legitimate factor for them this year. And Isaiah Joe had 18 off the bench on 6 for 9 shooting for the 76ers. So
Those guys are playing a lot more than they ever thought they would.
That's the thing, if this situation ever hit the Blazers, it would suck, but it would be fun to see like Nasir Little and Anthony Simons play 30 minutes in a game just to see what they could do. Especially Nasir Little. You don't want, we don't want that, but that's the silver lining. It'd be fun to watch Nas play 30 minutes and play meaningful playing time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the silver lining if that situation ever happens for the Blazers. The Pacers. Wait, that game, who picked Hawks? I picked Hawks. That was one of the games.
You were the only one who picked Hawks. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I gained back that Magic game. This next game, you had the Kings beating the Pacers 127-122. Harrison Barnes had 30 points for the Kings. As they play a lot better than they played against us a couple nights ago. De'Aaron Fox had 21 points, 9 assists. Rashawn Holmes had 16, Buddy Hield 18. Tyrese Halliburton had 12 points, 4 assists. So the Kings get a win, move to 5-6 on the season. The Pacers had 28 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists from Domantas Sabonis, 24 from Brogdon, 21 from Oladipo, and 21 off the bench from Doug McDermott. And then everybody had Pacers that game, didn't we?
We all had Pacers.
We all had Pacers that game. We all lost that one. And then, of course, the final game was the Blazers. We've already gone over the Blazers, but let's go over the Raptors players. You had Siakam get the triple-double to win Reese $800 on a $10 bet, so congrats to Reese. Siakam had 22 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists. The bet was, would Siakam get a triple-double? And he got it done. You had 18 from OG Anunoby. He was shooting like 28% going into this game. I said, watch, he's going to have a great three-point shooting game tonight against us, and he did. He was 4 for 6 from the three-point line. Kyle Lowry had 18 points, but only shot 5 for 17 from the field and 3 for 12 from 3. Kyle Lowry also only had 2 assists, so he didn't really step up and do much. Fred VanVleet only had 10 points. He was averaging 22 a game going.
He had 0.5.
Yeah, so we shut down their backcourt for the most part, but it was more the ancillary pieces, like a Chris Boucher, who had 20 points off the bench with 8 rebounds, 3 blocks. He was 7 for 12 from the field, 5 for 8 from the three-point line. They've needed a big to step up. I think they should start him at this point. They started Len tonight, and he only played 10 minutes. Boucher, man, he looked good. From he's like a 3-and-D. He's a 3-and-D center. You could probably also play him at power forward. I've heard nothing but nice things about how nice of a guy he is. People that have talked to him before. He obviously played at the University of Oregon, so. He is, it's nice to see him succeed, and they've needed somebody to step up with the departures of Ibaka and Marc Gasol. They had 7 points from Stanley Johnson, who was 3 for 5 from the field. He also had 3 assists, so he actually had a great game by his standards because he's awful. He played 23 minutes. Norman Powell had 10 points in 20 minutes. Terrence Davis only had 6 points in his 10 minutes of action. So, Eric, the spread on this game was Blazers by 5.
Yeah.
Right? So
everyone but you.
Everybody took the Blazers except for me. I said, you know what? I think the Blazers win this game, but I think it's very, very close. Yeah. And I think the Blazers struggle for parts of this game, and it ends up being close because of that. And would you look what happened? It was only a 1-point win, so I got the dub in my win column, and everybody else got the loss. But the Blazers didn't have to lose in order for it to happen. So that is, that is the best of both worlds, so to say. So... Anyway, we will update the standings on our next Blazers Uprise live show, which, I plug this all the time. The link is in the description. Help me reach 1,000, man. We've been trying to grind and trying to get to that. So, and Picks Against the Spread is a ton of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot this year, having our mods be a part of that, just as a thank you for all the hard work they do. Make sure to thank our mods in chat if you ever feel like it or get the chance to, because they definitely do a great job for us in terms of policing what can be a rowdy chat at times. So anyway, we can take questions for a little bit before we log off here if you want. Anything you want to touch on, Eric?
So we have a back-to-back Wednesday, Thursday. Mm-hmm. Our first back-to-back, I think, this year. Was it?
I think so, yeah.
And then, so the Pacers play tomorrow night on a back-to-back against the Warriors, and then have Wednesday off, and then play us Thursday. Us and the Kings play Wednesday. Both teams have the day off tomorrow. So we'll be playing both teams on a back-to-back without them being a back-to-back, which we've gotten kind of lucky with that, like Toronto tonight. I think we got Sacramento last game off a back-to-back as well. So that luck runs out this week. We're going to be the team with the back-to-back, but I don't know if you can somehow beat the Kings. I think we'd have a lot of momentum going to that Pacers game, and it's at home, so I think it would be good to get back on the court the next day and hopefully put up a 5-game win streak. It'd be really nice to have right now.
Yep. Here's our upcoming schedule. So yeah, we play Sacramento on the road. Then we got a 7-game homestand against some very easy teams. You got that Indiana game that you touched on. After that, we play a banged-up Atlanta team. Bogdanovich is out for a while. Gallinari should still be out for that game, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of these injuries. San Antonio, then on the 18th of January. Then on the 20th and 22nd, we have a home back-to-back against Memphis. We played both those games in Portland. That is a banged-up Memphis team that should be without John Morant unless his progression is going faster than scheduled. And they shouldn't have Jaren Jackson Jr. I don't know the timetable on him, but I believe he's still out for a couple more weeks. Not entirely sure on that, but either way, that should be an easy game, especially if they're missing those guys. And then the 24th, we got the New York Knicks. And then the 25th, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder, so that is another back-to-back. Both those games we should win are against far inferior teams. So, predictions. We are 6-4 over these next 8 games. What do you think our record will be after that? Chat, let me know. Eric, I'm curious as to what you think. Optimistically, we're 12-6 after this 8-game stretch. We go 6-2 over this 8-game stretch, and we're 12-6 after this 8-game stretch.
Yeah, I would love that, or that or better. I always get I'm just gonna put in a game in that stretch that we shouldn't have lost and say we'll be one game worse than that.
Well, but here's the thing: Indiana is really the only tough team, but it's not like they're like better than us, and we're at home, and they're on a Western Conference road trip. They're not better than us in terms of talent. So, and then the rest of the teams are like far inferior to us, in my opinion. The rest of the teams are lottery teams. Like Atlanta, could be a playoff team if healthy, but they're injured. So you're looking at Sacramento, Atlanta, San Antonio, Memphis twice, New York, Oklahoma City. Those are all lottery teams and multiple banged up teams. So
I hear you. I want to say 6-2.
So 6-2 is losing 2 games that we shouldn't. Because honestly, if you just look at these games individually and the matchup on paper, we are the most talented team in all 8 of these games. Indiana's the only area where it's close. So if we go 6-2, that's losing 2 games that we should probably win. To be honest, I don't expect an 11-game win streak. That's why I'm saying I expect us to lose a couple games that we probably should win. But 6-2, I'd be happy with. 5-3, I wouldn't be happy with that. 6-2, anything worse than 6-2, I'd be unhappy with.
I think if we could just string together a nice win streak and get the momentum of what that could do for our confidence and stuff going forward, while also making improvements, I think we could become a really dangerous team. I just hope we don't have the lapses we had at the beginning of this game in most of those games, because we can't afford to mess around and possibly be beat by some of these teams that we should be taking care of easily.
Yep. So here's some of the records that people tossed out either for the 8-game stretch or our overall record after the 8-game stretch. We got 8-2 from Dion Webb over the 8-game stretch. I guess we're going to go 8-2. Malcolm
we'll
Bagnoli,
say 6-2.
Malcolm Bagnoli says 7-1. Reese says 13-5 after the end of this 8-game stretch. Trevin says 14-4 after the end of this 8-game stretch. Eatable Rice says 11-5. Chris Stevens says 11-7. 11-5. That's only six games. Realistically, Dion Webb says he thinks it's going to be 10. Or no, that's Dion Webb says realistically he thinks it's going to be 10-8. Which would be a disaster in my opinion. Emerson thinks we go 8-0 over the next 8. Trevin also thinks so. Caleb also thinks so. I mean, I'm being pretty optimistic.
Terry's thoughts think so as well.
Yeah. So, 6-2 I think is a pretty good expectation for this team if they play the right brand of basketball. I think there's gonna be 2 games where they completely just botch botch the game. I don't know. It's hard to predict what this team will do, but I'm hoping for 6-2. I would prefer better, obviously, but 6-2 I feel like is realistic enough for me to hope for. Other than that, anything you want to touch on before we sign off here?
No, I wanted to touch on a couple things, but neither of them are in here anymore, so I'll just let it go.
Alrighty. So thank you for watching. The Blazers get a very close win. You had a thrilling game tonight after a couple snooze fest blowout wins before this. It was nice for the Blazers to put another win in the win column and move to 6-4 on the season, even if they did it in a pretty ugly fashion through the first 3 quarters. It's always nice to get to win a game where you were down by 17 at one point and to be able to come back from that, especially considering we gave up a 20-point lead against the Bulls and lost that earlier. It's nice to kind of be on the other end of a come from behind win. So the Blazers take care of business. They got an easy schedule coming up. We'll have you covered over here with the post-game shows on this main channel, and then on our secondary streaming channel, Mondays and Thursdays, we will have Blazers Uprise Live. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already done so for that second streaming channel. You can follow us on Twitter at TroyJonesYT for me, at HoopsJock for Eric, at Blazers Uprise YT for the channel. Other than that, there's really nothing left to plug. So anyway, just thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you to everybody who donated tonight, and thank you to all my channel members. Their names are in green, so they're special. It means a lot. Your guys' support, whether it's just commenting in chat, tuning in for a post-game show, reaching out to me on Twitter, donating, being a channel member. It all means a lot to me, and I greatly appreciate it. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your Monday night. We will catch you again on Wednesday with that post-game stream. Thursday, we'll have Blazers Uprise Live before that second night of the back-to-back game, and later that night, we'll have another post-game stream. So we'll have three streams in 2 days coming Wednesday and Thursday. Can't wait to see you guys back in here on another post-game show. So until next time, I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. And as always, peace out. Go Blazers.